Welcome to the Functional Living Podcast, featuring your hosts, Dr. Jeff Cumro.
You can't live a 3 out of 10 on the lifestyle scale and expect to have a 10 out of 10 on health. It just doesn't work that way.
And Dr. Jared Leon.
We want you to live at a higher quality of life, thereby having a better everyday existence.
Functional Living is the show that is dedicated to your higher quality of life. These are tried and true solutions from two nationally acclaimed health and wellness experts.
Our goal in this journey is quite simple, is to give our listeners a small understanding of what we've done and what we see every single day to better patient lives.
Learn how you can live a higher quality of life today.
You're going to be much happier. You're going to be much healthier.
And now, introducing your hosts, Dr. Jeff Cumro and Dr. Jared Leon.
Hey, this is Dr. Jeff Cumro. I'm here with Dr. Jared Leon, and we want to welcome you to the Functional Living Podcast, where being healthy isn't enough. We want you to be as functional as possible and live that best life ever. How's it going, Dr. Jared?
I am doing awesome, man. It is good to see you, and on top of that, it's really fun and exciting to be here today. So why don't we start off today? Today we have a surprise for you guys. So all our listeners, we're going to have something really special. What we're going to be doing today is talk about young adults. So we're going to classify young adults today. Realistically, it's a big age group, but we're going to go from 8 to 16. I know there's a whole bunch of things. You might call them tweens. You might call them after tweens. We don't know anymore. But what we're going to say is 8 to 16-year-old, we're looking at young adults, and we're going to talk about some of the potentials, struggles, but more importantly, how we can help in those struggles by maybe checking a spine there or two. Right, Dr. Jeff? What do you think?
I think that sounds like an awesome topic for today. And I know we've talked about kids, but this is like a separate segment here. There's so many groups of kids and so many different developmental ages that I think we really need to focus this down. And that's the reason we came up with the topic of this today.
Perfect. So I think, one, having two children right in this age group, by the way, this is a great topic near and dear to my heart. So the first thing I think we're going to speak of is really something all your mom, dads are going to probably hear is, you know what, there's a lot more schoolwork in this age. This is when, the child is starting to find out who they are, one, and the schoolwork curriculum is getting a lot more complicated, right? So that means mom, dads who are on the line, you're thinking, wow, it's a lot more stress, there's more homework. And at the same time, you're like, how is this a chiropractic thing? We're going to get to that, right? But more importantly, so you have this increased stress load for the children. Part of you as a great mom and dad, you want to help. But the other part of you is like, you know what? They got to find their own way right now. This is part you can guide them, right? But what we really want them to do is start looking and opening up their higher level thinking. Start developing a little frontal lobe activity to start saying, you know what? This is my task to do. So Dr. Jeff, why don't you create that bridge for our great listeners about how chiropractic care can really help with the attention and focus of this age group, please?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's something that we've talked about ad nauseum on this. We talk about it all the time. Chiropractic is not really pain relief. It changes the brain. It changes, the receptors and how your body perceives space around it. So it's not just helping with the pains and the aches and the function of things. It's also helping with the development of the brain. It's going to help with your attention span. It's going to help with, your immune system. It helps with a lot of other things. And, I think that's a great place to start and kind of dive into this a little bit deeper. This is one of those big developmental areas where people have hormonal changes that's going to, wreak havoc on their body for lack of better terms. So why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Perfect. Before we get into the hormonal issues, which is going to be just another second or so, what I really want to focus on real quick is really about the attention and focus, which is really, really important. So let's start with the most conceptual thing to give you right now. The diet and nutrition is very important for this age, right? So this is good for every other part of this segment we're going to do. This is going to be a big segment, but what we really want you to understand is it's all about the nutrition. Remember, the kids are getting older, they're getting smarter now. So now they have possibly more friends, they're more personable, they want to do more things. So they can find themselves in getting into these little spots like, hey, mom and dad kind of eat healthy, but my friends don't. What do I do? So this is a real good challenge, but I'm going to give you as listeners little viewpoints, right? Little tidbits of information to try to help you with this. The number one thing to do right now is to really educate your own children. They can listen to this podcast if you like, but remember, they're getting their own way now. So you got to give them smart, fun ways so they don't look at you as mom, dad, you're boring me. Greens are really important. Vegetables really important. So every time they have sugar, it's not really acceptable. It's what it is, right? So we just have to say, okay, but the truth is that will offset the way they think. Their school system, their attention is going to be different. Their homework is going to be different. Remember, when you pack lunch or your kids pack your own, it's up to you depending on the age, it's what kind of quality do you put in there? Every meal should give a vegetable. They should have water. They should really dampen their sugar and carb loads because all carbs turn into sugars. Dr. Jeff, give another 30 seconds on something like this, please.
No, this is the reason I like working with you, Jared, is, I bring up a complex topic and you break it down into simple, understandable things. You always keep it to the basic level. That's awesome. Like you said, if you're putting junk in, you're going to get junk out on this. You have to have the energy maintenance for everything, and that's really the base of everything. And, it doesn't matter if you're looking for attention here, if you're looking for your focus, it doesn't matter if you're looking for hormonal production. Everything comes down to getting the good basic starting place on this. So we've got to continue to build on that.
Perfect. Well said, my good friend. So listen, let's go one more step for all you guys. I know listeners, you want something to do right away, right? So let's do a gut check. Are your kids doing well in school? Are they listening? Let's start there. Are they active? Are they introverted? Are they extroverted? Let's look at them. Let's really start to judge how our children are doing, put them on a continuum so that we can actually help them. Because right now, that beautiful guidance, one simple thing is always give gratitude and love to your children, right? It's hard, long days. Like I said, I have 2 children. Some days it's harder than others. You cut home from work, you're tired, you're fatigued, but you know what? Try your hardest. Nothing is ever as good as a beautiful hug, right? Get that beautiful love from your child. Get that little smile. Make them feel special. There's nothing more empowering than allowing a child to know they're loved, especially at this age. They're going to talk to their friends. Everything's a little different now. All you moms out there, you're thinking like, wow, this sounds like stuff that I see every day. And the truth is, it is, because somebody has to talk about these little things to help out children, because if not, they're getting swamped with electronics, right? How many times in a given day is your kid grabbing that iPad, that iPhone, that iSomething, that Galaxy, whatever it's going to be? Kai play PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. They're on the bus with phones now. It's crazy. So these are things that are destroying or impeding your children's concentration and focus before they even get to school. It's not going to be today's discussion, but the truth is it's something for the future. What about an EMF protector? What about electromagnetic frequency radiation that's coming out of these devices that are affecting your children? We'll talk about that in another segment. It's that powerful. So what I'm going to do is give you one more beautiful tidbit of information to go home with, and then we're going to swap over and go back to hormones real quick and about the personality change and the puberty stuff that's about to happen. So my last good tip of the day, beyond giving your kids a beautiful hug and a smile, is give them a little affirmation every night. And it could just be like, hey, you've been great, I love you, blah, 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 and just something special that they did. Reward them for little things they do when they do well, right? Kids love reward systems at this point. It's all about the dopamine receptivity, about motivation and drive and things to that nature. So give them that drive to perform by telling them how great they are. Dr. Jeff, take over, buddy.
The last thing that I really want to talk about here is sleep. And this is one of the things that just goes into things. Everybody needs to get sleep. And I see so many kids that don't get enough sleep, and those that do don't always get the same amount of sleep. So you've got your iPhones, just like you talked about, all of that stuff, it's going to decrease the sleep. And sleep and the food is going to play into the hormones. I mean, that's the biggest thing here, is if we don't have the proper building blocks, if we don't have the proper energy, then it's going to increase that sympathetic nervous system, which is going to stress everybody out. Stress is damaging to the body, and that is going to cause further problems with that. So we've got to work on decreasing stress, improving our sleep, getting better nutrition. Is there anything else that we need to add there, Dr. Jared?
You were so great in what you just said, and what the little thing that we should all think of that, me and Dr. Jeff did not know until we studied those functional neurology, is a lot of the beautiful hormonal cascades that happen in children, good or bad, their neurotransmitters replenish at nighttime and through proper sleeping. And that replenishment is so important, because if they don't sleep well because they're on the electronics too long, or that you don't have a proper bedtime, that's very important. Kids like structure, even though they will never admit that. They need structure. So without structure, they don't get the right sleep. And without the right sleep, they don't have the same hormones that are going to be produced in the morning time per se. So now they're more groggy, they're more fatigued, they're more tired. And when you're tired and fatigued, it sets this whole cascade of events that go down the wrong way, because now they're going to crave sugars, they're going to crave more carbs, they're going to be more stressed, they're going to be argumentative, they're not going to focus the same way. So all of those things, every one of those 5 things I just spoke of, realistically, you can actually find a medical doctor to give your child the drug for right now. And it goes back to the most basic primitive things. Give them love, give them guidance, give them good food, and let them sleep. And if you do all that, we're going to have an amazing history with you guys in helping all about functional living for you and your family.
You summed that up perfectly. I mean, it really is about the basis. You've got to have the good nutrition. You've got to have, good quality foods. You've got to have good sleep. You've got to let the body do what it's made to do. So I think with that, we're going to go ahead and close this one out. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Dr. Jeff, Dr. Jared, and the Functional Living Podcast, where being healthy isn't the only goal. We have to have you functional.
Good night, everyone. Have a great day tomorrow. Hopefully this was really impacting and forceful, and you're going to take these amazing things to make some serious action steps for you and your family. It's Dr. Jared. I'm out. Be well.
You've been listening to the Functional Living Podcast with Dr. Jeff Cumro and Dr. Jared Leon. If this podcast helped you find the path to your higher quality of life, be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating or review.